June 12, 1993, it was the day Nigerians were to choose between a flamboyant politician, MKO Abiola, and a Kano businessman, Bashir Tofa, for the presidency. The campaigns had been colorful, and not surprisingly, millions of Nigerians thronged polling stations across the country. At the end, the Social Democratic Party SDP polled over 58.36% of the vote, while Tofa's National Republican Convention, NRC, had 41.64% of the 14,293,396 votes. Nigerians had kept tabs of the results, but shortly before the results were to be officially announced, the then head of state, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, saw enough but unfounded reasons to annul the elections.
It is true that the presidential election was generally seen to be free, fair, and peaceful. However, there was in fact a huge array of electoral practices virtually in all the states of the Federation before the actual voting began.
This led Abiola to begin another round of campaigns, this time to realize what he said then was his mandate: immobilize supporters and the organized labor, especially the Oil Workers Union, then led by Frank Kokori. This led to protests. The nation was practically shut down. But the military leaders will not budge. Babangida knew at this point that he could not hold on to power for too long. So he hurriedly handed over to an interim government led by another businessman from Abiola's part of the country, Ernest Shonekan. General Sani Abacha, the then Chief of Defense Staff, was waiting in the wings and soon pounced. And rather than do what Abiola expected, he placed the businessman turned politician under house arrest for 4 years, declaring himself president in 1994.
Well, it is very gratifying. I've always known that the events of the last few weeks have, in fact, enabled people to make up their mind a lot more firmly. In fact, it has increased tremendously the public support that I have in the country. Nigerians are ready for democracy. Nigeria have elected their president, and Nigerians are not prepared to go for another election. The truth of the matter is that you do not have two sunrises in one day. Even in Africa, the sun rises only once a day, and that is the way it is. The people have made it very clear that that is what they want, and I'm sure the purpose is to let government know that the people are very serious in what they are saying.
Sequel to the resignation of the former head of the interim national government and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Chief Ernest Shonekan, and my subsequent appointment as head of state and Commander-in-Chief, I have had extensive consultations within the Armed Forces hierarchy and other well-meaning Nigerians in a bid to find solutions to the various political, economic, and social problems which have engulfed our beloved country and which have made life most difficult to the ordinary citizens of this nation. Chief Ernest Shonekan took over as head of state and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces at the most trying time in the history of our country. Politically, economically, and socially, there were lots of uncertainties.
MKO Abiola died on the day he was set to be released, and this threw the entire nation into mourning. Nigerians were disappointed that what they believed was the freest and fairest process in the annals of elections was truncated. June 12 has since the return of civil rule been marked by a handful of states in the southwest as Democracy Day. All attempts to have Abiola immortalized were rebuffed, first by the then President Olusegun Obasanjo, and later by his successors. That was until President Buhari made a proclamation that even some of his staunch opponents have admitted is a political masterstroke. Francis Etuko, PTV News.